I'm going to record this meeting because I feel like I've been pretty lax in recording them and putting them up on the Facebook site and sending them out. So I'm going to get back into the swing of that and make sure that folks who don't attend get the information that they need. So it's just about 7 o'clock. I see some folks are still coming in, trying to manage the waiting room here. So I'm going to get started in just a second. Make sure I have my things up that I want to talk about tonight here. Get rid of that. There we go. And if I suddenly mute myself, it's because my 6-year-old is not interested in taking a shower. It will be screaming in the background. So if all of a sudden I go blank, that is why I will be muting my child from vehemently arguing against taking a shower this evening. Anyways. All right, got a lot of people on the call tonight, 16 people so far and still coming in. So yay for that. So happy Sunday. Thank you everybody for joining me here tonight and joining each other. As usual, if you want to turn your camera on, feel free. If you don't, that's okay too. It is 246 days until our trip. So it's getting closer. Very exciting. After the first of the year, I think it's all downward slide towards our trip. So have a couple of quick things to talk about. And I've got a cool video to show you. I was unable to get anyone in person. I feel like it's harder than it should be to find someone who's fluent in Japanese who wants to come in and hang out with us on a Sunday night. So, but I have been YouTubing and have found some pretty useful and interesting videos. So I'm going to show you one today. And I actually learned a little bit more about the English language as a result of this video as well. So if you're in English in high school, you might enjoy this too. It might help you out with your English as much as it helps you out with your Japanese. So the first thing I want to talk about is it's November, right? So it's November 6th. Is that what today is? Holy cow. It's November 6th. I don't know about you. I'm sweating. It was really hot out today. I just want it to be cold so I can like wear a sweater and like make a fire in my fireplace and all that jazz. But apparently it's summer again. So whatever. Anyways, the holidays are going to be soon here, regardless of what you celebrate. So I thought that I would share with you just a little bit of information about gift giving this season, so that you might be able to enjoy gifts from families and friends. You know, my kiddos always ask for Legos, but if they were going to Japan, I would be a lot more likely to give them something related to the trip. So I'm going to share with you right now. Here we go. I'm going to ask, hey, Joanne, are you super familiar with Zoom? Familiar enough, maybe?
What are you looking for?
I would like to make you a co-host so that you can let people in from the waiting room.
Okay. I think you have to go up in the settings and adjust that.
Yep. So you're co-host now. So if you just keep your eyes peeled on the waiting room, if you see anyone, just let them in.
Okay.
All right. All right. So I'm going to share this gift giving guide here that I was in my EF Tours group earlier. Can you see that? Holiday gift giving guide. Everyone see that okay? Yep. All right. So I'm going to send this out after the meeting. There's a few links, actually, there's quite a few links on here that I thought would be helpful for you to see as well. Can you, and if you can still see me, I have some of these things to show you as well. So this is in no way a comprehensive guide to packing and a guide to what you'll need for Japan. That's going to come a little bit later in these meetings. And I have a full packing list for you and suggestions, tips and tricks and all that sort of thing. I do want to reiterate, and I think I've said this before, that we're only doing carry-on. We are not going to be checking any bags on this trip. So luggage that gets checked tends to get lost. It delays us. It's really not ideal. So we are going to try our hardest to not have to worry about checking bags. If you have concerns about that, feel free to reach out to me offline, off the meeting, and we can chat. You also can check your bags on the way home, because who cares when you get your baggage back, right? But you don't want to lose your luggage on the way to our destination, because you'll lose everything that you want or wanted to have on this trip. So keep that in mind. Anyways, I'm just going to talk about this gift guide really quick and some things that I think are interesting on here. So I don't know if you've ever seen one of these before. If you can still see me, can you still see me even though I'm sharing my screen? You can, right? So this is called a money belt. A lot of our folks on our trips, I went to Italy and Greece this past summer, as you know, and everybody wore one of these. It's a money belt. So you put your passport in here, you put cash in here, and you actually strap it around your belly like a fanny pack, and put it underneath your clothing so that pickpockets can't pick into your bag and take money or your passport or whatever. The worst thing that can happen is that you lose your passport, because that's a trip to the embassy. That's missing out on some sightseeing things, and that's just kind of a hassle when we go on our trip. So money belt or passport holder, I think, is at the top of the list there. That would be a great thing to have. You can see some of these things if you're a traveler, if you've traveled before, you can see that some of these things do come in handy. This is a crossbody backpack that I take with me. It's a waterfly. I just really like it, and I wear it so that the backpack part of it is in the front of my body. It has a whole bunch of pockets. My favorite part is that it has a little side pocket on the top here that I put my passport in. It fits perfectly, and I keep it in there, keep it safe and close to me. I don't wear a money belt because I sweat profusely. So instead, I use this, and I keep this part of it close to my body. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we get closer and packing and sort of things. So just keep that in mind. These are really handy. These are awesome. I love the crossbody bags. You can wear a backpack too, but it's going to be really hot when we're in Japan. So something a little bit smaller and more compact would be probably a lot more helpful. Some of these things on here are, I know that you're just dying to get stocking stuffers like bug spray and sunscreen and earplugs and things like that, but now's a great time to do that. This stuff I swear by. You can get it if you're at Costco or BJ's. You can also get it at Target, Amazon. I don't have stock in this company, but this was really helpful on all the trips that I took this past year. It's called Liquid IV. It's hydration. So it's kind of like a Gatorade in a packet here, and you put it in your water, and it's 3 times the hydration of just drinking a regular bottle of water. When it was 100 degrees in Rome this past summer, wandering around and just drinking bottle after bottle after bottle of water, these things were super handy, but they're not cheap. So this is a great thing to ask for a Christmas gift. This bag, it cost me $30. So this was 30 bucks, and there's 30 of them in there. So they're about $1 a piece. Like I said, they're not cheap, but they're a great thing to ask for. They're great stocking stuffers, things like that. I always recommend a journal. Where's my journal? And I did keep it on the trip, because if someone asks me now, like, what did we do in Rome? I don't know. It was such a whirlwind. I mean, I do know, but I wrote down like little things like where we ate, giant meal, beautiful hotel. I saw a wild boar and its babies in a field. Stuff like that you don't want to forget. It's always great to have a journal. The one that's listed on here actually is kind of neat, because it has prompts, like daily prompts, and it has a little map you can fill out, and it's just kind of a neat thing. Other things on here: travel pillow, waist packs, things like that. I actually, oh, here it is. This is my new favorite thing. It's an infinity travel pillow. So you're probably used to the ones that go around your neck and you can just kind of lean on them. This thing looks like an infinity scarf. See it here? It's very long. I'm excited for this one because I can wear it like a scarf, even though it's going to be hot. But like when you're in a plane and you have no idea, like the little planes that we're going to be using to connect, like what do you do with your arms? Especially if you're in like a middle seat and you don't know what to do with them. But with this bad boy, you can sort of like wrap up inside it, and it keeps your arms like nice and tight against your body, and you can like lean on it and take a nap. So infinity travel pillow, who knew? So that could be a cool thing to put on your Christmas or Hanukkah list, or your holiday list, whatever you celebrate. I can see that converter and adapter is on there. You actually don't need one. Japan is very similar to us in that they don't, you don't need a converter like you would if you're going to France or to Italy or Greece or any of those places. I do recommend though, and we'll talk to this as we get closer, a lot of Japanese hotel rooms will either have a 2-plug or a 3-plug, like prong to plug in, and bringing one of those adapters that changes it is helpful. But we'll talk about that as we get a little bit closer. If you don't have a good carry-on bag now, that might be a great thing to ask for a holiday gift. I use a soft-sided one. I saw some really pretty like hard-sided carry-on luggages, but I feel like with the soft side, it can expand more. Like I feel like I can shove more stuff in there. And especially if we're only doing carry-ons, that's important. The one thing that you might want to look at though when you're asking for luggage is for international travel, they really do stick to the luggage like parameters. So it'll tell you, you know, if you're traveling on Delta or whatever internationally, the carry-on luggage tends to be just a little bit smaller than a domestic trip, and they really stick to the weight. Yep, I'm going to send this in the email later. Absolutely. Sorry about that, Joanne. So they really do stick to the weight as well. And we're going to cover packing later, but make sure that if you're getting luggage as a gift, or if you're purchasing luggage in the next couple of months here, that you really pay attention to the size of your luggage. I've been traveling Delta. I traveled Delta to Italy, Greece, and Paris when I went last year as well. So I'm not sure if we're going to be on Delta, but that would be a great place to start. Just go on the Delta website and check out their packing parameters for international travel. Packing cubes are a good thing to have. I actually got these, I didn't bring one, it's a big giant plastic bag. I got these big plastic bags that I put my clothes in, so I put them in day by day. And when you roll the bag up, all the air comes out of it. So it's kind of like a vacuum sealed bag, but you do it yourself. You don't need that machine that like sucks all the air out, you just roll it. So those are cool too, those are on Amazon. Let's see, sink suds for washing clothing. We'll talk about that as we get closer. And then a small first aid kit and any meds is a good idea as well. But as we get closer to our trip, we're going to talk about medications, first aid stuff. I always bring Band-Aids with me. A really good thing to have and to pack if you can is a blister pack with moleskin and, you know, little blister stuff. We actually use that quite a bit on our last trip. But those are things to come. These are just ideas for you for now. So if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. Otherwise, I am going to send this along to you via email after this meeting. So as we go a little bit farther down the page here, you do have a personal donation page. And let me see if I can bring one up. That's not it. Traveler details. Can you see Japan, Land of the Rising Sun here on there? Did it switch? Do you see the list or do you see Japan, Land of the Rising Sun? Please hold while I share my screen again. There we go. All right, so I don't know if Deb is on the call here, but I've just picked her. Deb Schwarting is here. And if you go down to payment info right there, you can click on there and click on donation page. This will pop up. You need, a little bit over $1,000 left to go. It talks a little bit about the trip. How many days are, oh my God, 245. Oh, I thought it was 246. I lost a day here. Travel dates, the itinerary, all that sort of thing. And then whoever wants to can make a donation on your page so they can contribute to you. Okay, so it's a little bit tricky though, and I want to make this clear for everyone who's thinking about doing fundraising or having donations come to your page. So I'm going to share this again real quick. So you can ask your family and friends for this. So, grandma says, what can I get you for Christmas or for Hanukkah? And you say, I would really love it if you could just donate to my trip to Japan. I need a little bit more money and it would be awesome if you could do that. So you send the link to grandma, she donates on your page and all is well. Because you're an individual traveler, you may not share this with businesses or organizations. So you can't walk into like your M&T bank and say, hey, I'm going to Japan. Can M&T Bank spot me $100? Here's my link. And you can just go ahead and put the cash there or send me a check to my house. That is not allowed. It's against Girl Scout policy. And it's against like Girl Scout policy and NYPENN policy. So it's like the double whammy of policies. There's tax implications, especially if they ask, what Girl Scout troop are you from? Or, what council are you from? And you say, oh, NYPENN Pathways. And then they sort of claim that they have made a donation to NYPENN as a 501c3, which is not profit. But this is not that. So just make sure that you're not soliciting to corporations, to organizations, to your local mom and pop shops, things like that. You cannot, as a girl, solicit directly for donations of cash, which is what this is considered. And there's linked down there is the GSUSA Blue Book of the policies in there as well. So like I said, I just wanted to clarify that just so that you know your donation page or anytime you ask for cash for this trip is between you, your friends, and your family, not organizations. Is everyone okay with that and understand that? If you have any questions, feel free to, excuse me, unmute yourself or ask me in the chat. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna scroll back up here. Did I say anything else about this? No. Okay, great. So as I said, we're gonna get closer to our trip and I'm gonna share with you a fuller packing list, but these are just fun things for people to buy if they're looking to give you gifts. So any questions, comments, concerns about that at all? All right. So I'm not sure if your trip leaders or you yourself know about cookie season this year. This year, you have lots of different ways to earn money towards this trip. Specifically, if you sell cookies, you can sell cookies for the travel troop. So I will put you in eBuddy under the travel troop, and anything that you sell under that travel troop goes to you. So I will write you a check from Girl Scout Council to EF Tours for you and for how many cookies you sold during the travel troop. You also can earn money. You can earn rewards through your traditional troop. If you're selling, you can opt out of rewards as a troop, or you can use rewards from your traditional sales to earn adventure credits or adventure money that you can use towards summer camp. You can use towards this type of thing. You can use towards other trips, domestic trips if you want to as well. So I just wanted to put that out there too. If you want to get over the hump of money earning and do a little bit more, or try to earn money for like spending money and lunches and things like that, because those are the things that are required to be provided by you all. And tipping, and we'll talk about tipping as we get a little bit closer as well. So those things are all required by you. You'll probably need an extra 300, 400 bucks maybe for this trip on top of what you paid, just to have in like cash, tips, lunch money, etc. And this would be a good way, excuse me, to take care of some of that stuff. So I know last time, I think I mentioned this too, that I had written checks, our council wrote checks for quite a number of people that participated for $300, $400 directly into your account. So that's a pretty cool thing. Any questions on that?
I got a question.
Yeah.
I forgot it.
Okay. So if you do cookie sales, if you do some of these things to earn more money, and let's say you have, $300 left in your EF account, and you earn $350 in cookie sales, and you are like, just send that check to EF Tours, and you'll have a $50 credit with EF Tours, which you can use in a number of ways. You can get it back. They'll write you a check and reimburse you for that. You also, if you're an adult, you can upgrade to a single room if you want to. I plan on doing that myself, just because I like to go to bed at like 7 o'clock. And also I snore. So that's never a bad idea to get a single room if you feel like you want to. So some of those things are adjustable. And if you overpay in any way, you will get a refund check from EF Tours. Don't worry about that. So.
I thought it was rude to tip in Japan.
So it's rude to tip in restaurants. So if you're going to restaurants, if like say you're on your lunch break and you see this awesome sushi restaurant and you want to go and you sit down and have a meal and you're done with your meal, tipping is not, it's not appropriate. That's just not the way it is. These tips are going to be for our tour guide, who is responsible for like making reservations for dinner and telling us all about Japan and doing all those things. So it's going to be the tour guide. It's going to be the dude that like picks us up at the airport and transfers us to one place or another. It's going to be for the bus driver. So the bus driver, the big coach bus that we're going to be on throughout our travels, it'll be for that guy, and any other sort of like ancillary people that help us out along the way. So the plan is to collect money. I will attempt to collect money prior to our trip so that we don't have to deal with it on the trip. And so I'll have like a card, a thank you card that's like, thank you so much, awesome bus driver, you're the best. And it will be that card and it will have the tip money in it. And I'll give it to Ellie and I'll say, hey, Ellie, could you please hold on to this card? This has the bus driver's thank you card and the tip money in it. When we're done, when we leave the bus forever, and we never see this person again, hand them the card and say, arigato. Is it arigato? Did I get that right? And that will be your job. So that's kind of how I plan on dealing with tip money. And it's typically between, they say between $8 and $10 per person per day for tip money. Because like I said, that's the tour guide, that's the, I don't know, bus driver, all of those things. Let's see, reservations, tips were included in our reservation price. I do not know. I definitely tipped out this past summer. Let me see if I've got my EF Tours back out here. I'll get into it. Oh, Japan, land of the rising sun. And I'm gonna look at the, how about I just go to the tour enrollment page. Oh, goodness. Your experience includes, it does not include tip, it looks like. So like I said, it'll be expert local guides. Like if we go to Hiroshima and we have a tour guide that's there, we would tip that person. If it's the full-time tour director, we're definitely going to tip that person. So I can see that tipping is not included, and I typically don't include tipping in these types of trips, as far as I can tell anyways. So no, unfortunately, tipping is not included. All right, any other questions about any of those things that we just talked about? All right, so I am going to post this meeting and that list in the Facebook page when I'm done, and I'll send out an email as well. Upload it probably to our YouTube page so that you can view it without having to wrangle with Zoom and try to log in and all that sort of thing. So, all right, now the next thing on the agenda, like I said, I did not have any luck in finding a person who was able to meet with us tonight about language, but I did YouTube and I have found someone that I thoroughly enjoy. And like I said, learned a little bit about the English language as well as the Japanese language. It's harder than I thought it was going to be because there's a lot of different kinds of alphabet and characters and different, well, you'll see in the video. I also tried to learn on Duolingo. I don't know if you're familiar with Duolingo. I've been trying to learn French on Duolingo, and that's working out pretty good. But Duolingo in Japanese, I can't. I don't know what's happening, but my brain is like, no. So I think I just need to buckle down and study a little bit more. But these Japanese 101 pod, they're called, I've found a little bit more success with these ones. So I'm going to bring this video up and play it for you. And you can subscribe to this, actually. The Japanese person who does all of these language videos, she's got another one, 20 Japanese words for everyday life. Maybe I'll run that one too. Her name is Risa, and she's really good. So I'm going to turn this on, and let's see if we can learn a little bit of Japanese tonight, okay? So hold on. And get this on here, make sure it's sharing my sound. Yep, it is. And if somebody whose camera is on could just give me a thumbs up when this starts, just to let me know that you can hear it, okay? That would be fabulous. So here we go.
More.
Can you hear it?
Hi, welcome to Introduction to Japanese. My name is Alicia, and
Whoop. Sorry, Alicia.
I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Risa. In this series, you learn everything you need to know to get started learning Japanese.
That's right, and we're here to help guide you through your journey. In this lesson, you'll learn the reasons you should start learning a new language, why you should learn Japanese in particular, and how to get started.
Let's begin with the most obvious question: why learn a new language?
There are countless reasons, but perhaps the biggest one of all is that it could actually change your life. Learning a new language unlocks new pathways that are off limits to you now. There are certain things that you simply cannot do without having the technical or cultural skills that come from learning a new language.
Like working or living in another country.
Knowing another language provides you with greater job opportunities. You have the freedom to move to another country halfway around the world and earn a living, or even better yet, build a career from it, instead of just being stuck in one place. Language allows you to visit or live in places that you may never have even considered going, simply because that wasn't a possibility for you. Knowing another language simply gives you more options to choose from.
And learning a new language also helps you to be more open-minded and see the world from a new perspective.
Language and culture go hand in hand. The world is a big place, and by broadening your understanding of other cultures, it allows you to be more empathetic and understanding of the many different ways that people live their lives. With language, you're able to see and experience more, which helps you to grow as a person.
Learning a new language also improves your memory.
Several studies have consistently shown that those who study another language have improved memory as opposed to those who didn't learn another language. Learning another language also keeps your brain healthy by significantly delaying the onset of Alzheimer's and dementia. This difference can be as much as 4 to 5 more years of quality life.
And those are just some of the reasons you should learn another language. The list just goes on and on.
Now you know the benefits of studying another language, but why should you learn Japanese in particular?
Have you ever heard of Pokemon, Mario, or PlayStation? Well, they all came from Japan.
Japanese pop culture is huge. Many of the animations, comics, and games that are loved by people from all over the world were created in Japan. Not everything gets translated either, so unless you know Japanese, you're missing out on a lot of amazing things that Japanese pop culture has to offer.
And what about the fact that Japan is the third largest economy in the world?
Japan has one of the largest electronic goods industries in the world and is the world's third largest automobile manufacturer. It's also one of the highest ranked countries in terms of innovation. Knowing Japanese opens up many business opportunities, and knowledge of the language, of Japanese culture, their work ethic, and business etiquette can go a very long way in the world of business. Oftentimes, it could even make or break an important business deal. Knowing Japanese then will put you ahead of the pack.
Japan has one of the fastest growing tourism sectors in Asia. And actually, Japan will be hosting the 2020 Summer Olympics in Tokyo.
We should add that the majority of the Japanese population can't speak English, so if you're planning on making a few friends in Japan, being able to speak at least some Japanese will get you a long way. There are many World Heritage Sites for you to see and enjoy in Japan. Perhaps the most famous one of all, an absolute icon of Japan, is Mount Fuji, the highest mountain in Japan.
Another spot that I really like is Himeji Castle. It's one of the finest examples of Japanese architecture during the period of feudal Japan.
Japan has a colorful history that spans thousands of years. The feudal period of Japan, the age of the samurai, lasted for nearly a millennium. Most notably, the country saw an unprecedented 250 years of peace and prosperity, giving rise to artistic, cultural, and social development, all of which you can see and enjoy in museums across Japan today.
So clearly, there are many reasons why you should learn Japanese.
Okay then, we've talked about why you should start learning a language and why you should start learning Japanese, but how should they get started, Risa?
Well, it's as simple as learning your first word in Japanese and building up from there.
The good news, though, is that you already know some Japanese.
Sushi, samurai, karaoke.
These are words that have made their way into English, but the reverse is also true. Many English words have also made their way into Japanese.
Ice cream, beer, butter.
In fact, 10% of all Japanese words used today come from English. This means that you already know a little more than 10% of all the words that exist in Japanese.
Let's teach you something that you might not know, but is very useful. Arigato. It means thank you in Japanese.
That's a useful phrase. Can you explain a little bit about what these characters are, though?
Sure. That's actually the Japanese writing system called kana. And it's not as hard as it looks. Japanese doesn't use alphabetical letters in its writing system like English does. Instead, we use a set of characters called kana. You can think of each character as a syllable. A-ri-ga-to-u.
You'll learn the Japanese writing system eventually, but for now, let's put up some romanization to help get you started.
This romanization is called Romaji, and it allows you to read Japanese before you become familiar with Japanese characters.
That certainly makes things much easier to learn. Well, okay then. Now listen and repeat after Risa.
ありがとう.
Now you try.
ありがとう。
Your turn again.
ありがとう。
Well done. Now you know how to say thank you in Japanese. We've covered a lot of things already, so why don't we wrap up the first lesson and recap on what we've learned? In this lesson, you learned that studying another language has many benefits, such as providing new job and business opportunities. Japan has a colorful history with many things for you to see and learn, and to say thank you in Japanese, it's
ありがとう。
Hi, welcome to Introduction to Japanese. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Risa.
In this lesson, you'll learn the basics of Japanese pronunciation. Pronunciation refers to the manner in which a word is spoken, so don't focus on reading what's on screen. Instead, focus on listening and repeating. Japanese is what is called a mora-timed language. What this simply means is that every character in Japanese, which you can think of as a syllable, occupies the same length of time.
すみません。すみません。
Notice how each character is pronounced for an equal amount of time?
すみません。
No character takes up more or less time than the other characters. Every character is valued equally and is pronounced evenly throughout.
すみません。
English, on the other hand, is a stress-timed language. Syllables that are stressed are valued greater than syllables that are unstressed. Opportunity. The stressed syllable
Julie Abbott pretends she's not an extremist, but she was supported by a radical right-wing group that opposes women's reproductive rights and common-sense
I have
gun
no
safety
idea.
laws.
Ignore this.
It's clear, Central New York can't trust Julie Abbott.
Boo. Sorry. for
Does your
people that-
skincare routine look like
bad.
this? This one is your cleanser. This one is your moisturizer. This
2 in opportunity is deemed more important, so it's pronounced longer than all other syllables. Listen to it again. Opportunity. This gives English a machine gun-like rhythm, where the pace is sometimes fast and at other times slow. One last time. Opportunity. Compare this once again with Japanese, which is steady and even throughout.
すみません。
Because equal value is given to each character, there is no word stress in Japanese. When pronouncing Japanese words, try to imagine a constant stream of syllables flowing out from your mouth. There are 5 characters in Japanese that signify a vowel sound.
あ、い、う、え、お。
Apart from these 5 characters, all other characters, except for one that we will cover shortly, is made up of a consonant sound and one of these vowel sounds.
か、き、く、け、こ、さ、し、す、せ、そ、た、ち、つ、て、と。
And so on. Only this character here is kind of special. It's a consonant sound without a vowel sound.
ん、
So to recap, a Japanese character could be a vowel,
あ、
or more commonly made up of one consonant and one vowel,
か、
or it could just be this consonant sound on its own.
ん。
Now you know the possible sounds that make up a Japanese character, but let's look at all the sounds in Japanese collectively. In the previous lesson, you realized that you already know 10% of all words in Japanese, which is a miracle. But are you also aware that you already know roughly 80% of all sounds in Japanese too? That means that if you were to simply imitate a Japanese speaker, your pronunciation would be correct roughly 80% of the time. For example, listen and repeat after Risa.
わさび。わさび。
Chances are your pronunciation was pretty spot on. The W, S, and B sounds are practically identical to English. The sounds may be the same, but don't forget that Japanese isn't a stress-timed language like English. So instead of stressing the second syllable like wasabi, make it even throughout. Try again.
わさび。わさび。
Nearly all sounds in Japanese are identical to English, like the W, S, and B sounds in this example. Since you already know how to pronounce most of these sounds, we only need to pay attention to the handful of sounds that are completely new to you. They're the ones we need to look out for. In the previous lesson, we taught you how to say thank you in Japanese. Do you remember what it was? It's...
ありがとう。
This word is often romanized like this. Focus on the second character. It's often written as an R and an I, but don't be fooled. This character isn't pronounced using an English R sound at all.
り、
It's like a mixture between an R and an L sound.
り、
There's no such sound in English, but most people would transcribe this using the letter R because that's the closest equivalent there is in English. Pronouncing it like an English R, however, would be a huge mistake. To pronounce this sound, lightly tap the gum ridge behind your upper teeth with the tip of your tongue. It should be a quick, striking motion, similar to the sensation you get when pronouncing the T in words like butter, cutter, and so on. Don't roll your tongue like an English R. Most of the air should go around the sides of your tongue, the same way it would when pronouncing an L sound. This is why many people describe this sound as in between an R and an L sound. Listen and repeat after Risa.
り、り、ありがとう、ありがとう。
Well done! Let's wrap up this lesson by recapping what we've learned. In this lesson, you learn that Japanese is a mora-timed language, where syllables are pronounced for an equal amount of time. Japanese characters can represent a single vowel sound, a consonant and a vowel, or a single consonant sound. Collectively, nearly all the sounds in Japanese are identical to the sounds in English, and there are only a handful of new sounds that you need to learn. Hi, welcome to Introduction to Japanese. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Risa.
In this lesson, you'll learn the basics of Japanese grammar. Word order refers to the order in which words are structured to form a sentence in a given language. Consider the English sentence, I ate an apple. But first, let's remove the article an here for simplicity, so we're just left with I ate apple. The basic word order for English is subject, verb, object, or SVO for short. If we break down the English sentence, I ate apple, we can see that the subject I is presented first, followed by the verb ate, and then finally the object apple is positioned last. This is the basic word order for sentences in English.
Now, let's compare the same sentence, I ate an apple, in Japanese. 私がリンゴを食べました。Like before, let's remove the particles to keep it simple. So we're just left with the words. If we break down the Japanese sentence, we get the subject, 私, meaning I. Then comes the object, リンゴ, meaning apple. And finally, we have the verb, 食べました, meaning ate. The word order for Japanese then is subject, object, verb, or SOV for short.
In both languages, the subject is presented first. In English, though, it's followed by the verb and then the object, compared to the object being first and the verb last in Japanese. The same sentence in Japanese is essentially I apple ate, subject first, then object, and verb last, SOV. This is the basic word order for sentences in Japanese.
Okay, let's move on to the next section.
English is what is called a subject-prominent language. This simply means that the subject is slightly more important than other components in the sentence. It's the key piece of information other components in the sentence relate to. Who is doing the action is slightly more important than what is being done or which object it's being done to in English. If we had to slowly remove pieces of information from a sentence while trying to keep its essence intact, logically we would do so in order of least important to most important. If we were to omit the subject, we would get ate an apple, which sounds strange. On the other hand, if we were to omit the object instead, the sentence would become I ate. Even though in each instance we omitted a piece of information, the reason I ate sounds less strange is because we've yet to break any grammatical rules, and so there's still potential for the sentence fragment to become a complete sentence and to become grammatically correct. Since the latter is logical, this indicates that the subject is more important than the object in English. The same would have been true if we had omitted the verb. Since the subject is the integral component in the sentence, this makes English a subject-prominent language.
Japanese, on the other hand, is a topic-prominent language. Unlike English, the focus of each Japanese sentence is the topic, not the subject. Essentially, the ate an apple portion, リンゴを食べました, is the main focus of the sentence, where I is deemed less important and can be omitted.
In fact, if it's obvious what the subject is, or if it's already been established, it's quite normal to omit the subject from the conversation altogether in Japanese. Let's look at this aspect in a bit more detail. More often than not, if you wanted to say, I ate an apple in Japanese, you would not say,
私がリンゴを食べました。
Instead, you would more likely say, apple ate in Japanese.
リンゴを食べました。
Since Japanese is a topic-prominent language, the information to be shared is the act of eating the apple. Less important is the subject, which is omitted altogether. Most Japanese sentences are constructed and spoken like this in real life. In most situations, such as a one-on-one conversation, it's clear that the person who's speaking is the subject. In cases where it's obvious who or what the subject is, it's almost guaranteed that the subject will be omitted. And so you're left with,
リンゴを食べました。
On the other hand, when it's unclear who or what the subject is, or if you wanted to place emphasis on the subject, like if you wanted to declare from a group of people that it was you who ate the apple, then you would include the subject.
私がリンゴを食べました。
But more often than not, most sentences spoken in daily Japanese conversation can be spoken without including the subject at all, particularly if that subject is you.
箱を開けました。電車で帰りました。
Knowing this, we can easily express any simple action in Japanese using just the object and the verb. Try to create the sentence, I ate a hot dog, from these sets of words.
食べました。ホットドッグを
Okay, got it? The object goes first, so let's put hot dog here. And the verb goes last, so let's put ate at the end. Finally, we connect them using the appropriate particle. And that's it.
ホットドッグを食べました。
Which means, I ate a hot dog in Japanese.
ホットドッグを食べました。
You can create any basic sentence like this in Japanese if you simply know the word for the object and the verb in Japanese. Well done! Let's wrap up this lesson by recapping what we've learned. In this lesson, you learned that Japanese sentences are formed using a subject-object-verb, or SOV, word order. The most important aspect of Japanese sentences is not the subject of the sentence, but the topic. Most sentences spoken in Japanese will not actually contain a subject, especially if that subject is obvious, like when it's yourself, the speaker. And lastly, you can create basic sentences in Japanese by putting the object first and the verb last. Hi, welcome to Introduction to Japanese. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Risa.
In this lesson, you'll learn the basics of Japanese writing. In English, we use one script, the English alphabet, to write. To write in Japanese, however, you will need to use 3 different scripts together.
And they are ひらがな、カタカナ, and kanji. Hiragana is like the basic Japanese alphabet.
Learn a language by watching TV. Choose from hundreds of TV shows.
Instead of 26 letters, however, we have 46 characters. Each character represents one syllable. These 5 characters, for example, represent the 5 vowels in Japanese.
A, I, U, E, O.
All other characters, except for one, are made up of a consonant and one of these vowels.
Ka, ki, ku, ke, ko, sa, shi, su, se, so.
And so on.
Katakana is almost exactly the same as hiragana. The only difference is that it's written a little differently. A, I, U, E, O, ka, ki, ku, ke, ko. Hiragana is more cursive, while katakana has a lot of sharp corners. The final script is kanji.
Kanji is the use of Chinese characters in Japanese writing. This is because Japanese writing actually originated from China.
Right. A long time ago, Japan only used Chinese characters. Today, we use all 3 scripts together to write Japanese. Unlike hiragana and katakana though, kanji is nothing like an alphabet.
Kanji characters are a special type of character that represent an idea or concept. They act more like entire words than individual letters. And unlike the alphabet, there are thousands and thousands of kanji characters.
Not to mention, there are many different ways you can read them too. So the pronunciation actually changes according to the context.
Okay, now you know that there are 3 different scripts used to write Japanese, but why is this the case? Let's look at each script in a little more detail.
You can think of hiragana as the default script used to write most things in Japanese.
It's the most common of the three scripts because it's used to write functional words, including most grammatical particles, such as possessive,
の、私のペン
prepositions,
に、学校にいる
as a subject marker,
は、ジョンは学生です。
and it can also be used to write words that lack a kanji rendition or whose kanji is obscure or considered too difficult for the reader to understand. Additionally, it's used as inflectional endings for adjectives and verbs together with kanji.
見る、押す、白い、古い。
In theory, you could use this script to write everything in Japanese.
For this reason, it's generally best to learn hiragana first. We mentioned before that katakana is almost exactly the same as hiragana. The only difference is that it looks slightly different.
This is the least common of the three scripts because it's used to write foreign words in names,
コンピューター、ビール、ロンドン、ジョン、
and onomatopoeic sounds.
ワンワン、ニャン。It's common to learn katakana after you learn hiragana because of their similarities.
The final script is kanji, which is undoubtedly the hardest one of all to learn. Kanji is used to write most words of native Japanese or of historically Chinese origin. This includes most nouns,
人、学校、
the stems of most verbs and adjectives,
見る、行く、赤い、怖い、
and most personal and place names.
田中、ひろこ、東京、大阪。
Learning kanji may be difficult since there are thousands and thousands of them. They are, however, an integral part of Japanese writing. Okay, let's wrap up this lesson by recapping what we've learned.
In this lesson, you learned that there are 3 different scripts used to write Japanese. Hiragana is the most common, and it's used to write functional words and particles. Katakana is used to write foreign words and names. And kanji is used to write native Japanese words, or words of Chinese origin.
Hi, welcome to Introduction to Japanese. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Risa.
In this lesson, we'll focus on teaching you the most useful Japanese words and phrases for absolute beginners.
Make sure you're repeating the words out loud after I say the examples.
Are you ready? Let's get started. Bar none, the best phrase to learn when studying a new language is one that expresses gratitude and appreciation. If you had to learn only one single phrase, this would be it.
We taught you this phrase in the very first lesson. Do you remember what it was? Arigato. It means thank you. Arigato.
Keep repeating after Risa until you get it.
Arigato.
Your turn.
Arigato. Arigato.
Do you remember this character here? We talked about it in lesson 2. Even though this character is transcribed as an R, don't pronounce it like an English R. Listen to how Risa pronounces this sound.
Ri.
It sounds like a mixture between an R and an L sound.
Ri.
Another way of pronouncing this sound is to think of the quick tapping motion your tongue makes as it strikes the top gum ridge in words like ladder or butter.
Ri.
Altogether, it's...
Arigato.
Okay, one last time.
Arigato.
The next phrase we'll teach you is perhaps the second most useful of all phrases. It's to apologize or to excuse yourself.
We taught you this phrase in lesson 2. Do you remember what it was? すみません, and it means excuse me or I'm sorry. すみません.
Use this phrase when you want to grab a waiter's attention or when you're hustling through the busy streets of Tokyo.
すみません.
Your turn.
すみません.
Imagine you're on the street and you want to stop someone to ask them for directions. What do you say?
すみません.
Okay, one last time.
すみません。
Now you can say thank you, excuse me, and I'm sorry in Japanese. Let's move on.
Do you love the planet? Do you do laundry? Then answer this one question correctly. What is the
Asking where something is an incredibly important and useful phrase to learn. You're going to need this when asking where the bathroom, the train station, or where the hotel is. To ask where something is, put the name of the place or location first, and then add,
はどこですか?
for example, if you want to ask, where is the bathroom?
トイレはどこですか?
For the train station, it'll be,
駅はどこですか?
and so on. You can ask where something is by simply adding,
はどこですか? は marks the place as the subject of the sentence. どこ means where. This is a polite word that roughly translates to is, and ka marks the sentence as a question. You can kind of think of it like a question mark in Japanese.
altogether, it's
はどこですか?
your turn.
はどこですか? はどこですか?
Now let's teach you some vocabulary so that you can use it in the sentence. Here are some of the most common words you'll need to learn.
トイレ、
Bathroom.
トイレ。トイレはどこですか?
Next,
駅、
station.
駅。駅はどこですか?
If you ask someone this question, they'll direct you to the closest train station. If you'd like to ask where a specific train station is, like Tokyo Station, for example, simply place the location before station.
駅、東京駅。東京駅はどこですか?
Next,
ホテル、
hotel.
ホテル。ホテルはどこですか?
For a specific hotel, do the same as before. Just place the name before hotel.
ホテル、ヒルトンホテル。ヒルトンホテルはどこですか?
Next,
コンビニ、
convenience store.
コンビニ。コンビニはどこですか?
You can substitute almost anything and simply add
はどこですか?
to ask where something is in Japanese. In this final lesson, you learned how to say thank you, excuse me, I'm sorry, and to ask where something is in Japanese. And in this series, we introduced you to the basics of Japanese pronunciation, grammar, writing, and more. Let's conclude with some parting advice from Risa and listen to some of her tips on how to learn Japanese from a native Japanese perspective.
The best way to learn Japanese, particularly if you want to improve your communication skills, is to watch and study contemporary Japanese videos. That's because we often use expressions that aren't necessarily introduced in grammar textbooks in daily conversation. The biggest mistake that I see learners make is watching and mimicking what they see and hear in anime, and to a lesser degree Japanese dramas. A lot of the expressions used in anime are not commonly used in daily conversation, as their reactions are often exaggerated. The same thing happens in Japanese dramas too, but to a lesser extent. One such example is the use of domo as a casual way to say thanks. We often see this in comedic shows, and so a lot of learners are saying domo. But in fact, it is rarely used even amongst friends. It should generally be avoided. Watching contemporary videos, such as our videos here at JapanesePod101.com, will ensure that you're learning real, applicable Japanese in the fastest and the most effective way.
You've reached the end of this course, Introduction to Japanese, but it's only the beginning of your journey to Japanese fluency. Where do you go from here? Try our innovative Japanese series where we teach you beginner vocab and even more useful phrases. Or check out any of our other video series. We have many different categories for you to choose from. Good luck as you continue learning Japanese, and I'll see you in another video. Bye!
So how was that? That was pretty cool. I watched a lot of random videos on like how to try to speak Japanese, and that was my favorite. And the Japanese 101 pod, Risa is the one that teaches most of those. I think I'm going to keep up with those instead of like Duolingo or something on my phone because they're pretty good. It's very fast. I have a tough time, or I'm going to have a tough time, I think, speaking very quickly. So I don't know, I guess like practice makes progress. I guess I'll just say that. And they were talking, some of the words they were talking about, like I would always pronounce, I don't know if you saw at the end of one, S-H-I-T-A, like Shita, but she pronounced it sta, something like it was not what I thought it was. So if I was just reading it, I would have pronounced it very, very incorrectly. So I think those videos are going to be really helpful. Feel free, I think they're free. I think you can subscribe to them for free as well. So if you want, we can watch one together each time we do these. That was a long one. There's 30 minutes long. I would definitely not watch a 30-minute long video again, I think. But there was one that I was going to play if we had have time, but we don't now. Let me just see if I can find it really quickly. It's 20 basic Japanese words for everyday life, and it's like 10 minutes long. It's like a pretty good video. So yeah, that's actually a really good idea, Skype. And maybe it would be a good idea to write some of these phrases down with the romanization to bring on the trip. I'm hoping to just keep practicing basic ones over and over and over. The first thing I learned in Italy and in Greece and in French is I'm sorry. Désolé, right? Like, excuse me, I'm sorry, je suis désolé. Evcharisto in Greek, and oh gosh, Italian. Lo siento in Spanish. What is it in Italian? What's I'm sorry in Italian? Who knows? Somebody's got to know. It'll come to me at like 3 o'clock in the morning. But those are my favorites because that's something that you can, you know, when I was bumping into people on the street, that's what I was saying over and over. When I was trying to pronounce something and I got it wrong, that's what I was saying over and over again. And a simple thank you actually goes a long way, especially in Greece. Evcharisto is a really hard word to pronounce. Like the phrase, like, it's all Greek to me is totally a thing. And it doesn't look like how it's spelled. So, what a mi dispiace in Italian. That's my husband in the background yelling at me. So some of these things, yeah, that's it. Mi dispiace. I didn't say that though. I feel like I was saying I learned the wrong Italian. I have no idea. Who knows what I was saying while I was there? Anyways, so that's just a little bit of introduction to Japanese. I love the cultural aspect of that as well. I thought that was pretty cool to get some background. And of course, Japanese, the characters came from Chinese. That makes perfect sense in my brain now. So, scusi, yeah, of course, scusi, that's it. That's like the simple, easy, right? Like that one was too formal. Yes, I will link the video. Here, let me pull up my links really quickly. I'm gonna just play this one. Uh-oh. I don't know if you heard that or not, but that was the ad. Let me see, paste. I don't know. Tell me if that link works or not, I guess. And I will try to send it. I'll send it in the, I will send it in the.
Don't miss out on new videos. Click the bell. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up.
I can't. I will put it in the email and in the Facebook group also. Oh, there's a copy link. That one looks like an actual link as well. So hold on, give me 1 second. The one we just watched is this one, the YouTube one. So, learn hiragana in 1 hour. I don't know about that. But anyways, she was super helpful and I really like those videos. I do. So there you go. All right. So the next meeting is going to be in December. I don't know. 4th? Yes, December 4th, 7 p.m. I will put the information in the Facebook group. And if anyone, do you want me to send reminders via email? Is that easier? I know most people are in the Facebook group, but if it's easier for me to just keep sending reminders, it's the same link over and over. The password is sashimi, no capitals. It's that way for every month. All right, so that's it. It is 7:59. Arigato. No, don't roll your tongue. Arigato. You to learn I'm back. I got kicked out. I don't know what's happening. Anyways, thank you. Thank you very much. I'll see you December 4th.
Yeah.
Say arigato. Arigato.
Arigato.
There you go. I am struggle busting. Yes, thank you. All right, I'll see you all guys. Bye.